Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
Well, good morning, folks. Welcome to Financial Issues. Seth Udinski here with you, as well as Samuel Case. You'll hear from Mark Minnella later on in the show. I hope you're all having a great day today. We're delighted to be here with you. I want to say a big thank you once again to those of you who contributed to our fiscal campaign. We finished it up last week and just did a tremendous job. All of you. Thank you so much.
Blew it out of the water, guys. Awesome.
Yep, it's pretty amazing. So the Financial Issues family always comes through. And Sam, it always happens in the 11th hour, too, doesn't it?
I know, right?
Always seems to happen.
There's always a moment of doubt. It's like a movie. You're not sure if you're going to quite make it. Movie. And then every single time we do. It's awesome.
That's right. Pretty fantastic. Well done, all of you. I wish we had time to thank each and every one of you on the air, but frankly, we'd be here till the cows come home because there's just so many of you to thank. So thank you to all of you who contributed to this campaign and who prayed for us as well. Again, folks, Mark's going to be on shortly. He'll be answering your questions. He'll be sharing his wisdom with all of you. I'm so excited for that. Let me say a couple things here in this first segment before we jump in with Mark. We do have a sell alert for Nvidia. Now, you've heard us talk about this at various times on the show in the last couple days. Folks, I hope at this point you have sold Nvidia, that you've gotten rid of that company. They are no longer biblically responsible.
If you visit the website, it's really hard to miss. There's a sell alert. We got that ticker banner on top. There's a pop-up and everything. No excuse, guys.
It's even in the green color there, which I kind of like that color, Sam, because it reminds me of a microchip for some reason. I'm not entirely sure why.
Probably because of Nvidia.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, folks, listen. Nvidia has been one of the leaders in technology. They were really kind of the chip darling that started the AI craze back in 2023. And we held them here at Financial Issues for a long time. I know some people who held Nvidia for as long as 8 years, 9 years, somewhere around there. I'm sure if each of you shared how long you held this company, it was probably a long time. It was one of those kind of core companies that you were thinking you're going to hold on to this for the long term. Unfortunately, sometimes that's the way it goes, where companies will depart from the biblically responsible definition. And again, folks, we're not asking these companies to wave the Christian flag and get baptized and become Christians. That'd be great if they did. We're not asking Jensen Huang, the CEO, and his board of directors to confess the Apostles' Creed. It'd be wonderful. All we're asking is that they just focus on being a good business, and Nvidia has stopped doing that. Why? They have started explicitly funding and supporting the transgender ideology. This includes transgender surgeries, affirmation of transgender care, the LGBTQ worldview. They're couching all this in languages of love and inclusivity. We will have none of this, though, as Christian investors, because that is an abomination to God. Marriage is between one man and one woman for one lifetime. The Bible is clear on this. And not only that, but we also see catastrophic results of people who get engaged with this stuff. Just absolutely catastrophic. Physical harm, mental harm, emotional harm, and ultimately spiritual harm. This agenda, the LGBTQ lie, is truly demonic. And unfortunately, Nvidia is now kind of in it hook, line, and sinker. So when we found this out, when our research uncovered this, we realized we had no choice but to issue a sell alert for this company. Now, folks, we don't want to just do the sell alert, though. We want you all to be able to have the opportunity to do even more, to let your voices be heard. And that's why we are having this petition on our website up right now. We want thousands of people to sign this thing. This will go directly to the desk of Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia. I hope that his board of directors will read this. I hope that this gets to the eyes of every single higher up person at Nvidia, including the CEO himself, so that they can understand what a drastic mistake they've made. And obviously the hope with this, folks, is that they change course. Hopefully they see this and they say, you know what, we screwed up. We're not going to get involved with the gay stuff anymore. We're just going to make microchips and continue being the tech darling that so many investors have come to love us for. I personally, I'm not so confident that that will happen. Because once you're entrenched in this stuff, especially when you have the size and the popularity that Nvidia does in the world, it becomes very difficult to get rid of. But nonetheless, we're trying. We're going to try. We're going to make our voices heard. So we want every single one of you who is listening to this program right now to sign that petition and to tell people. Send it to your church, to your pastors. Explain to them what financial issues is. They don't have to do much. Just say, hey, this company, they're using their shareholder dollars to fund things we hate, to fund the stuff that we stand against. So sign this. Let's make our voices heard, and then we'll get this sent on over to them.
And a great opportunity just to explain the principles of biblically responsible investing, because even if someone is a complete investing novice, I guarantee you they've heard of Nvidia. So it's a great way to open the door to that conversation.
Exactly right. Exactly right, Sam. That's good stuff. So I hope you all will consider doing that. We're working on our end here at Financial Issues to get this to a national audience. We want people all throughout the nation to know about this. So this petition is going to be active for quite some time as we continue to push this. But if you have not signed it yet, if you're a listener, go to financialissues.org. Sam mentioned it earlier. You can click on that green banner at the top of the page that says, tell Nvidia no in all caps. Or if you stay on the page for long enough, you'll see a pop-up that shows up, and you can click on that as well. It takes you to the same place, and you'll see the number of people. You just put in your information. It takes about 15 seconds to be able to do. If you want to read through the whole petition, it's very, very well written. It'll take you a little bit longer, maybe a minute or two, if you include all of that. But boy, it'd be a great thing for you to do, folks. We want to make our voices heard. Hopefully you all have sold Nvidia, and now you're taking that offensive even more to let them know that we are righteously offended by this, and we will not stand for it, and we will not invest a single cent in this company because they're doing this stuff. Well, folks, for the rest of this week, I did want to just share this with you. You heard me and Mark speak about this late last week. Both Mark and myself are off this week on vacation, getting some rest and relaxing time after the busy season that we had with getting a new host in and getting the campaign going. It's a really nice break time that we're able to enjoy, which is awesome. So you're going to hear a lot of great content, never before heard content. You know, it was wonderful with the team that we have here. We were able to pre-produce a whole lot of segments for you. So these are never before seen questions. You'll see a whole lot of Mark over this next week or so. And all of it, of course, is gearing up more and more towards that October 13th date. It's an exciting date. Sam, can you remind me what is happening on October the 13th? I can't remember.
Completely forgot. It slipped my mind. I mean, yes, that's when Mark Minnella officially becomes the full-time FISM host, and we are so excited, as I know many of you are as well.
Certainly are. So tell your neighbors, tell your friends, share. Once again, just like with the Nvidia petition, folks, the way to get the word out about what FISM is doing is simply through that organic growth. You tell people. You share on social media. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Doesn't cost us anything. You can just tell people about financial issues. And so make sure that you mark your calendar for October the 13th. It's going to be a great day. We're going to hit the ground running. We have a lot of exciting things coming on down the pike here for financial issues. So you won't obviously be able to interact with us live this week, but once again, you'll be hearing a lot of what Mark has to say, some great wisdom as he answers your partner questions. And then, of course, once again, it's gearing up for October 13th. We'll have the phone lines open. We'll be live that day. And we are so excited for that, folks. So,
and just because we're not live doesn't mean that you can't submit your questions that we will get to when we are live.
Please
so don't forget to do that.
Please do. And folks, that's for partners and non-partners alike, by the way. Sam, I'm glad you brought that up. Partners, you have the Ask Mark portal, the Hey Mark portal, where we answer those questions there. But for non-partners, if you're someone who's listening to the show and you've never heard the show before and you have no idea what it sounds like, and what we're saying is all gobbledygook to you, the place that you need to go is to the Contact Us button. It's very easy to do. If you go to the homepage, financialissues.org, and you go to the top right-hand part of the screen, just click that Contact Us button. You can send us any question that you would like as well, and we'll get to that question as soon as we can. Maybe it's a question about biblically responsible investing. You've never heard of it before, what we do here, why we're selling Nvidia, the different screening tools that we use, all that stuff. We'd be happy to help you. So send those questions in, folks, and we'll be sure to get to those on October the 13th. Absolutely. I'm excited for it, folks. It's an exciting time here at the ministry as we're really starting fresh because of how you all showed up in numerous ways, and you just, hit the bar, you set the bar, you exceeded the bar when we did our fiscal campaign several weeks ago. We're starting this fiscal year from a place of strength, which is amazing. So we got a lot of good things here. We got the new host, we got the website. It's exciting stuff, folks. So anyway, all that to say, that's what it's looking like for this week. These next upcoming segments here, never before seen content. I do hope you'll still say hi to us. We'll be watching you on the chat there and on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. And if we get any questions there, we'll be sure to tee those up as well. So yeah, just so excited for that, folks. We'll be with you, excited for October the 13th. For the rest of this week now, we've got Mark Minnella coming up with answering your partner questions. I'm excited to be able to give this to you folks. Obviously, Mark and I know that we're in good hands right now. We're missing all of you, and we're excited to be back on October the 13th. So we got more financial issues coming up after this break. Don't go anywhere. Make sure to share us with your friends. Again, make sure to say hello however you are watching or listening. More financial issues to come after this. We'll be right back.
There are moments in life that define us. Choices determine the courses we take. Choices that create life, or those that save a life, and some make life worthwhile. There are decisions to stay, or to go, to remain the same, or to grow. Sometimes we pray and make peace. Other times we take a stand for what we believe. In celebration, mourning, triumph, and defeat, we are invested in every decision we seek. Despite differences, we have one thing in common: the desire to do all for the glory of God. Keep your wallet aligned with your heart and your investments in harmony with your faith. Timothy Plan, biblically responsible mutual funds, ETFs, and retirement plans. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com. Read carefully before investing.
In a world where financial decisions can feel overwhelming, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: our family, our faith, and our future. With financial issues by our side, we can invest knowing that our financial decisions are in line with our values. Take the first step today and become a financial issues partner to access rich online resources, training tools, and guidance for biblically responsible investing. Head over to financialissues.org and learn how to invest your money in a way that honors God. That's financialissues.org.
Preborn is making motherhood possible for thousands of moms across America.
I found out that I was pregnant. My family, they were like, no, you're not having this baby. I met Miss Linda. She offered to get me an ultrasound. That's where I very first heard the heartbeat. It was really a great thing that I was led to the choice to keep him.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
Welcome back, folks. Financial Issues. Mark, I'm enjoying that conversation a lot. I'm enjoying hearing your expertise on it also, on what's going on here with Snap. You know, it reminded me, Sam, you had brought up how we had talked previously about these crazy videos on social media where you've got people basically bragging about how much food hauls they're able to bring in on government money. And Mark, it just made me think, you know, back in the old days, and again, I wasn't around that much longer than back then, but even I can remember it a little bit. There was an appropriate level of shame that came with that. Now, I'm not saying that we need to intentionally shame people for this. What I'm saying is people understood, if I'm on food stamps or I'm on government help, this is not something to brag about. This is something that I'm thankful for and that I need to work to get out of. But I feel like, Mark, now what we're seeing is this shift where now people are bragging about it and they're trying to milk it as much as they can. And it goes back to what you were saying there, brother. What is the solution here? I mean, is it just simply we need to drill into people work is good, hard work is good?
Well, we don't need to drill it in. They just need to get back to God, bottom line, and know that work is not an evil thing. A lot of people today think work is a necessary evil, and now they're starting to say, I don't have to participate in that. Everybody who's working will carry me no matter what. Yeah. That's a sad thing for today. The word shame, I'm very uncomfortable with that because there are a lot of people there are a lot of people who can't work. There are a lot of people who mentally can't work, who physically can't work, who just aren't able to do that. As Christians, we need the compassion to care for them. As the church, we need to come together and get back to where it was before we gave that over to the government, who turned it into an addiction program instead, to where we can work with them, help them where they're needed, even help them to grow so maybe they can get back to it. That's very important. Compassion has to be there when we talk about helping people and taking people off benefits and or whatever. Shame isn't the word. Shame to me comes from yourself. You feel the shame. It is not something you can put on somebody. Nobody can shame me. If I'm uncomfortable with what I'm doing, that's my conscience. That's God. I'm not going to be shamed if I'm doing what I believe I'm supposed to be doing, even if you think it's shameful. It doesn't matter to me. But when I know that I'm just gaming the system, or I'm being lazy, or I'm falling short of what God has called me to be and to do, I feel shame. So it's an internal thing. So effectively, shame works on its own. You don't have to impose it on anybody. And that's where the lack of dignity comes from.
I think these people posting these videos probably do feel ashamed, and that's why they're
possibly
doing it. Is that they want validation from the internet. I think that's the same thing you're getting with the pride parades even, or why we're reading these LGBT stories to kids. These people feel ashamed, so they need someone else to validate them for it.
Or why they get so upset when they face the truth.
And because Sam, isn't it so true? You had mentioned the pride readings and all that stuff. They get the validation from children, probably because children are more easily malleable.
They're not going to push back.
They're not going to push back. Right. That's exactly right. Sorry, Mark.
They don't even know what sex is yet.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So they just think this is a funny person up there. That's fun. A little child, you know.
Right.
They take advantage of innocence and they abuse them. Anyway, let's move on. That's too ugly for me this morning.
But you know what? I am grateful though that you clarified there. You know how we properly use shame. Right. I think maybe the thing that we really more need to look for is we need our consciences to be held captive to the Word of God, and they need to be sharpened and in tune, so that when we are doing things that are not right, we do understand it. This is not right, and I need to change it. I think it's good.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
Well, Mark, we also got some CPI data out this morning. Sam, you want to share that with us? What's going on there?
Yes, sir. This is the big market mover for today, where the consumer price index jumped in August, pushing the annual inflation rate to 2.9%. Meanwhile, core inflation, excluding food and energy, also rose 3.1%, or rather to 3.1% year over year. Both those readings are in line with expectations. And despite the slightly hot data, analysts are still doubting it will impact the Fed's interest rate decision next week, given the latest jobs data, as Fed watchers remain almost 100% confident the central bank will cut rates by at least a quarter basis point next week. So here's the question, Mark. So we got PPI, the producer price index, and now the CPI, both inflation gauges, but they're coming in a little bit different. The producer price was cooler than we thought. It was lower, and now consumer price is higher. So what's going on there? You would think if it's all inflation, it's going to be reading about the same.
Well, if you look into conspiracy websites, no.
Those are my favorite, Mark. I love those, as our audience knows.
Yeah, of course, it's just there to confuse us. Well, no, it's really not. Think about a train. You have the front car. Usually, it's an engine, and then down the road you have other cars, and at the back you got a caboose. Well, the PPI is the engine. It's happens first. It's more of the producers. It's more of the wholesale costs of things. Are they going up or going down? Well, if they're going down, the caboose doesn't know that yet because it hasn't reached the same point on the track that the engine has. So when the CPI comes in hotter than the PPI, it could be more than this, but in general, it's just because it follows the PPI. The wholesale prices have to come down first before your pocketbook feels it, or the CPI, because the CPI is what your pocketbook feels. You're buying retail. The producers have to produce it. If they're producing it with less inflation, it means it's costing less. They pass that on to the retailers. The retailers pass that on to you. Then you feel it. So it's a little bit of what they call a J curve. I hope that helps.
No, that makes sense. So based on this data, I know we don't know the future, but is it reasonable to predict, because we have a cooler than thought PPI, that next month's CPI will be lower?
Yeah, unless 60,000 other little things happen that affect it. Absolutely. It's one of the stronger predictors, though.
Okay.
The numbers weren't that great in my time. Over time, the numbers were so small that I think other things could influence it more so than if we would have seen like big differences in both of them.
Mark, that's good. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Sam, that's a good question. Thanks for asking that, because I've been wondering that too. It's good stuff. Speaking of questions, Mark, we got a lot of partner questions to get to today. You want to knock some of these out?
Well, yeah, let's go for it.
All right, let's start with Ed. Ed is 60 years old, and he says, do I have enough life insurance? Mark, does he have enough life insurance? No, let me give you some statistics here. So he's got a term policy through 8 years. It's worth about $330,000. He says his income just under $150,000, no consumer debt. He owns one home. He's got a mortgage on another one. In his investments, he's got about, I'd say, maybe close to like $1 million, a little bit less than $1 million across his 401k and Roth IRAs and other things. He's also got a pension, and he's got about $30,000 of savings at age 60. Does he have enough life insurance?
Boy, that was a lot of information, Seth.
Yeah.
And it wasn't enough to answer that question. Because the first question is, Sam, was the gentleman? What was the gentleman's name?
The gentleman's name is, hang on, let me get his name again here.
Oh, that's okay.
Ed is his name.
Ed.
Yep.
Ed, the first question is, why do you want insurance? What are you trying to do with it? Because insurance can be used from protecting your family, your wife, and your children from them losing the center of their income production that's bringing money into the household, to leaving an inheritance, to funding the gospel after you're gone. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons for life insurance. So I would say, based on the numbers you gave me, you really don't need it because you have enough money to pay down the mortgage. You probably have enough money to care for your if you have a wife, if you have children, to care for them as they move on in life. And that's a good thing, because it's very difficult when you lose somebody close to you and then you have financial difficulties at the same time. So the bottom line comes down to figure out, if you have a lot of debt, you want to cover that debt so those you're leaving behind don't have to. If you're younger, you want to have enough to carry them for years, maybe put them through college, those kind of things. It's very important to be looking at, why do you carry any insurance at all? Not just for the sake of insurance. And then I'd say, if you're asking that question and you answer it, then you need to go and look at your beneficiaries to make sure you got them set up properly, because why you took the insurance out originally might have changed. It may be still a great idea, and you may still want to hold on to that insurance until it gets unreasonable, but you want to make sure you have the right beneficiaries and secondary and tertiary beneficiaries on there. So a lot of reasons for insurance: backing your business, backing your income, caring for your family, helping them through college, leaving it as an inheritance, or even to support ministries and churches after you're gone. All that is good. So you don't need to really worry about it. You just need to answer the question: why do I want insurance? What am I trying to do with it? What assets or income am I trying to replace with it? Maybe it's covering the debt, maybe it's covering income.
Mark, that's awesome. Yeah, Ed, I would echo that. Mark, I'll say for you, if I'm in Ed's shoes, I'm obviously not Ed. I'm many decades younger than he is, and I've not built up the net worth that he does. So my reason for life insurance is, like you said, to protect my wife and kids. I'm the main breadwinner. If something were to happen to me, if the Lord takes me home early when I don't expect it, they're taken care of, right?
Right.
And so for him, it could be different. He might be owning a business, something like that. That's exactly right.
Right, and he's age 67, so that means that maybe he's past a lot of that, so maybe he doesn't need it. But that's up to him. Maybe he wants to leave it to his church. Maybe he wants to leave it to some organization that is spreading the gospel or feeding those who can't feed themselves. There's awesome. So many things you could do with it, and so that's up to you, Ed. But figure out why you want it and what you're trying to do with it, and then decide if it's necessary.
Great stuff. Mark, let me just mention this here, folks. Today's show sponsored in part by our friends over at Preborn. We just love Preborn. Preborn does such great work. If you haven't heard of Preborn, Preborn's mission is really twofold. They're here to save babies from abortion and to spread the gospel to mothers and fathers. They have saved hundreds of thousands of babies over the years and have also brought the gospel of Jesus Christ to thousands upon thousands of men and women. They've seen almost, I think, Mark, if I'm correct, they've seen almost 100,000 commitments to Christ and well over 300,000 babies saved. Just amazing work. So
there you go, Ed.
Yeah, exactly right, Ed. Maybe that would be a good reason to have life insurance there. You can check them out, folks, preborn.com. You can also call them, dial pound 250 and say keyword baby, pound 250 keyword baby. If you have to leave us, folks, we hope you have a great rest of the day today. Mark, we've got a lot more questions to get to here, so I'm looking forward to hearing your answers to these. Folks, learn more about our ministry at financialissues.org, by the way, if you want to learn more and you like hearing what we do here and seeing the work that we do. We'll be right back after this. Stick.
Where's Mima? We found out Shepard's diagnosis when I was about 17 weeks pregnant. We learned that he was going to need a series of surgeries after he was born in order to give him what they considered a normal life. And we weren't sure how this worked.
Yeah, very emotional, very, very broken. And as my wife just said, not sure how this worked. And called Samaritan, and they said, you just go have that baby. You leave the rest to us.
And just to hear the confidence on the other end of the phone of this is not something that you need to be concerned about at all. You focus on the health of your family, the health of your baby, and we will walk with you every step of the way.
I started investing close to 30 years ago now. All that time, I had never heard anyone talk about setting up your portfolio in a way that glorifies God. When I first heard about it, I was listening to the radio, a show called Financial Issues. They were teaching people how to honor God with their money. That made a lot of sense to me. I guard my heart, my mind. I watch my mouth, hoping to bring glory to God in everything I do and say. But why wouldn't I want to do the same with my money? I decided I wanted my portfolio to glorify God. I became a partner with Financial Issues, and it's been one of the best decisions I've made. I want to leave a legacy of godliness for those who are following in my footsteps. Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
I want to make a point. No matter what happens, I'll always be there for you.
I know.
Welcome back, everyone. We're Financial Issues, and we're glad you're with us. Today's been a fun day with Seth and Sam and myself, and I hope you're enjoying it as well. And we've been asking questions that have been written in, sent to us, called in, emailed in. Sometimes I think they bring them by pigeon. I'm not sure, but they do bring them in.
Legends only speak of it, Mark.
Those are the best ones to come in because it shows dedication.
Yeah, it sure does, yeah. And we're going to continue on with that. Seth, I think we have some more questions, don't we?
Let's do it, Mark. This one's from Brandon. Brandon's a youngster. I always love when Brandon writes in because he's asking a lot of good questions. He's only 24 years old. And Brandon says, Mark, would you be able to explain more on how the point system works for the major indexes? I understand the concept of the Dow Jones, for example, going up and down a certain percentage, but what does the points represent? So like the 40,000 or so points, 6,000 points. What does it mean that the NASDAQ, the Dow, and the S&P 500 have vastly different point totals?
You're 24 years old, and you ask me that question. I got to tell you, that is a question that bothered me for many, many years of my life, my early life. I'd look at the Dow, and they say, the Dow is up 30 points today.
Right,
and I'd like, what does that mean? 30? Is that 30%? No, it can't be 30 percentage points. So the Dow would have been up, a third of its current price. That would have been crazy. And it's very difficult to understand because it's not as logical as you think. The Dow Jones has a way of measuring that was designed way back then, and it uses different structure formula to figure out what the points are than, say, the S&P 500. So each of these indexes uses a different way to do it. I can't go back and tell you what the divisor is, but it takes the cumulative price of a share of all the stocks in the 30 stocks of the Dow Jones, and then divides it by, I think it's like 0.15 at this point, but I'm not sure why it's that. I think at one time they wanted it to equal a certain amount when they started out. Same thing with the S&P and the NASDAQ. The NASDAQs are a little different. The NASDAQ is different from the Dow because the NASDAQ is cap rated. And that means that the larger companies have more influence on it. And I think, if I remember correctly, that the NASDAQ, or not the NASDAQ, the S&P, when they did that, the divisor they used on the cap rating of that came down to just wanted it to equal 10,000 when they started that. That's in the back of my head, so don't hold me on that. So again, like I'm saying, it's not as logical as you think, and the same things with the others. But here's the deal. You brought up percentages and you brought up points. The points really aren't that important. I know there's some people who go, oh, how could you say that? It's the percentages, because if the Dow goes up 2%, that's what's important, because it's easy to understand and compare it to where it was yesterday. If the S&P goes up 2%, they both went up 2%. That's pretty good. Although in the NASDAQ, it could be just two stocks that did that instead of in the Dow Jones. So all these point things really don't matter as much as they should. In fact, over the years, what I did, because I got so frustrated with these point systems and trying to figure out how to use it, I just started using proxies for the Dow, for the S&P. I'd go out and find an ETF that was based on that index, and then just pay attention to the interest or the percentage of it. And here's a couple. I wrote some down for us. For the Dow Jones, a good proxy would be the DIA ETF. For the S&P 500, it would be SPY, SPY. And for NASDAQ, it'd be QQQ. If you just trace those and you pay attention to the percentages, you get a better feel for the markets than you would following those points and trying to make sense out of them all.
Mark,
I hope that helped.
That helps out a lot. And I'm actually going to ask a follow-up question, if that's all right, Mark, because Brandon's question kind of spurred it on in me. So when we hear, there are companies that are part of the NASDAQ, it's nicknamed the tech-heavy NASDAQ for instance. How does that work? Like with companies who are part of each of these different indexes, what is the benefit of being part of, say, the NASDAQ or, say, the S&P 500? Is it just like social credit? Is it just like name recognition? How does that work?
I'm in the QQQ.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Aren't I cool? No.
I'm cool. I'm hip.
I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
Make the QQQ better. I don't know.
That's right.
Actually, there is some differences where the Dow Jones originally was supposed to represent the whole U.S. economy. Same for the S&P 500. It's a little broader because the S&P 500 has 500 stocks instead of 30 of the largest industry ones. And where the NASDAQ itself, it's very tech heavy. So if you're into more aggressive situations in your investing, you're younger, the NASDAQ is something you'd probably be watching to watch how the growth of everything is going in the new technologies and the things that are happening. If you're older and you're doing more of a preservation growth type of portfolio, which you'd want to look at that as well. But you probably want to look at the S&P 500 for a broader indication of what's going on in the industries.
Great stuff, Mark. Thanks so much for that one.
Do I dare stir the pot, though, and ask about the Russell indexes?
Yeah, the Russell 2000, excellent. I'm glad you brought that up. Sorry I didn't mention it. The Russell 2000 is actually more of a small cap index. It looks at the smaller companies in our on the exchanges. So usually small caps are a lot more volatile than the larger companies that are more stable and have strong revenues and that kind of stuff. But the Russell 2000 covers all those up and coming large caps and mid caps.
Okay, and that's why you probably don't hear it talked about as much, because it's not necessarily as reflective of what's going on in the broader economy as the other ones.
And yet, you'll hear over and over, it's the small companies that make our economy, don't you? You hear it's startups and the small companies that create jobs and move our economy. Again, this is another one of those things. I think it comes from those ivory towers where people sit in and decide, we don't want to talk about them because we have all our money. So I don't know why. I'm just going to say
it just
that.
Sounds good, right?
Yeah, I think the Russell is very important to look at. In fact, I look at it every day.
Mark, that's great to know, because even folks will recognize this, having listened to me host the show in the past. I don't always look at the Russell 2000. So looking at the Russell 2000, it's a great mindset there. Cool.
Right, and when you're investing, you have to realize, just like asset classes or different industries, you have small, medium, large, and outrageously big, and you also have micro caps. All those don't go up at the same time.
Right.
Some will start moving up while others are moving down. So it's good to realize which market cap investments are moving in general, up or down, so that if you want to get into something new, it's like, oh, well, it looks like right now, small cap stocks seem to be starting to trend upwards at this point. Well, this would be a good time to maybe pull some in if you have some extra cash, or if something went if you're looking at your allocation and you're looking at the buy list and something got pulled off the buy list, maybe you could add some of the small cap in there into the growth area for yourself with that, because it has a bigger short-term potential and it has a long-term potential to grow into a large cap.
Mark, how much stock, to use an investing term in a different way, how much stock do you put into the idea of the larger cap size a company is, the better it is? Is that necessarily true, or is that something that we need to do away with?
You mean like Enron or or GM or because they could never go out of business, couldn't they?
Exactly.
No, I get that they can be stabler when I look at some of the large stocks, but they can get stupid just like anybody else, and they can run their company into the ground. You have to be careful with all of them. The markets are a jungle. Remember that. The markets are a jungle, and you should never go in there alone. That's why we at Financial Issues have our partnership to help people navigate that jungle. You're going in now with a guide, somebody who knows the lions and tigers and bears and who knows that kind of thing. It can help you navigate that and keep you from getting eaten alive. At least that's our goal. And to help you grow that without being eaten alive. And that's very important. And we work very hard at that with the strategy team, with the asset allocation models, with the buy, sells, and holds. We're there for you if you're a partner. And for $132, I think it is, a year, that's nothing for that kind of guidance. It's a great thing, and I really encourage you, if you're not a partner, please do so now. Go out to Financial Issues and become a partner, especially now because we're into a fundraise right now. Yeah, aren't we?
Absolutely, we certainly are, brother. Yeah, we're folks. We are trying to finish this year in the black, and man, now is just such a good time. If you want to support the ministry, being a partner is actually a great way to do that. But it's also a way to help yourself out too. Amen. You pay us $132 a year, but you get access to everything Mark was just talking about.
You
Mark,
get the guide to the jungle of the markets.
That's exactly right.
Mark in his explorer's outfit with his machete, he'll guide you.
My big round hat, white round cap hat.
Maybe we need to do a little costume contest on the show and have you have that with the little Indiana Jones look, Mark.
There you go.
There you go. Well, we got a break coming up here, folks, but more financial issues coming around the corner right after this. We'll get to some more of these questions here coming back on the other side. 610-363-1110 is the number to call in if you want to join us. 610-363-1110. We'll be back.
Are you tired of the chaos? There are a lot of things that make noise, but only a few that truly matter. As a parent, I want to leave something that will last for a long time.
Invest $300 a month increase on slowly by the time you retire.
Not just an inheritance of money, but a legacy of godly values.
Here at Financial Issues, we want to help you grow your money, but our main goal is to help you honor God with the money that He's given you.
Invest your money in a God-honoring way. Go to financialissues.org.
In the last 10 to 15 years being in ministry, being married, something that has been constant in our lives is Samaritan Ministries. As we've moved, we've had babies, we've had different things come up, we have just been able to rely on Samaritan in ways that we never really even thought about before becoming members.
Our heart's desire is to plant roots and be in a place for a really long time. It's how we were raised. We see the benefits of that, but we also see the open-handedness of being used by the Lord wherever He calls, because we just assumed when we started pursuing church planting, the quickest way to get from point A to point B is a straight line. And with the Lord, sometimes you find out it looks a lot more like this. And yet, Samaritan was with us through the entire thing.
We didn't have to look into, we have to change insurances now because we've moved states or whatever the case may be. And it's just been a real blessing to us in different phases of life.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Colleen.
We're the Gen X.
And we're Samaritan members.
I found out I was pregnant when I was 21 years old. For me, I was scared, I was shaking. They do an ultrasound. And that's when everything changed. When I saw my baby and when I heard her heartbeat, that was it. We've seen the hand of God ever since we stepped into the pregnancy center.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
The opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
Well, welcome back. We're glad you're with us. And we just answered a few questions. And the last question that was asked was probably one of the harder questions that most people have to struggle with, understanding the points of the different indices. And that, I wish you hadn't asked that question. It's hard to answer, but I'm glad we were able to get to it. And with that said, I'm going to go ahead and be brave and say, let's continue on with the questions. What do you think, Seth?
Sounds good. You know, Mark, it is. We've had several jungle references today. Sam was referencing that we need to get your wide hat on, and So we'll get back into the jungle then, shall we?
Oh, okay.
Randy is up here.
I like monkeys.
Yeah.
They are safer.
Well, this one is a doozy, guys. So Randy says, and you'll have to bear with me because there's some information here, but I'll try to be brief with it. He says, my wife and I have some good friends who know since childhood, also good Christian folks. The husband works works as an Edward Jones advisor, and some time ago, my wife and I opened an account with him so that we could buy some CDs and establish a relationship where we could share how we only wanted to invest in biblically responsible companies. Now, he's made several suggestions on how we could invest in various stocks in lieu of the CDs, but in each case, the suggested companies have not been biblically responsible, and thanks to your ministry, I share why each company is not. That's awesome, Randy. So then he said, this advisor recently emailed us about Guidestone funds as a possible biblically responsible investment. Now, to give some backstory, my Merrill Lynch 401k plan at work will not allow me to invest in Timothy funds, nor will Edward Jones. So my friend's been searching for biblically responsible investments, and he came across Guidestone. Have you guys heard of Guidestone, and are they biblically responsible? What do you think, Mark?
What a great question. And how cool is that they're looking this up? They're going out to the evaluator on
exactly what we want.
Financial issue site. And educating themselves. I'm so sorry that your advisor did not take your faith serious. Hopefully he is a believer. And what I'd like to recommend to you, I know this is going to sound funny, but you might want to have him listen to Financial Issues and join us so he can learn what it really means to invest with biblical integrity. I don't say that in a negative way because it's a journey for everybody. I know. I've been leading that journey for over 35 years now. And there's many, many people on Wall Street that I helped to go from not quite getting it to fully getting it and realizing why when their client comes, they don't want to be in these stocks. So my heart goes out to you as well that it's being so difficult. With that said, let's move on to Guidestone. There's a verse in the Bible that every year I take a verse that to help improve me, and I memorize it, and then I start trying to live it to remind myself of it. About 2.5 years ago, the verse that I picked out, and I can't remember the reference now, but it was "Speak evil of no one." I'm still on that verse. I'm still working hard to do so. I don't want to speak evil of anybody who is trying to help Christians to invest with biblical integrity, to invest in a way that doesn't grieve God's heart. But unfortunately, Guidestone is not one of those. Guidestone really has tried and has gotten better over the years, believe it or not. But when I evaluate their stocks, it is nothing but a sea of red, meaning that there isn't a single, not their stocks, their funds, there's not a single fund that I'm aware of that screens clean. And I'm sorry if that's going to break your heart, but it's true. And the reason for this is their philosophy on how to screen. They may use different screening services than we would, but we want to be beyond reproach in every one of our recommendations. So we use Evaluator Services, which is the strictest and the oldest screening service there is. And I think it's very important to use that. I'm not sure what Guidestone uses, but I have heard and I have
just so everyone knows,
seen,
by the way, that's what you just saw on the screen. Those Guidestone funds, that was screened with Evaluator. So all those reds are different violations.
For our radio audience, it was pretty red. Okay, it was pretty darn red.
Columns of red. Participation in all aspects of what we screen for, sexual immorality, all sorts of addictive products, things that you just don't want to be involved in. Abortion, of course, is the worst. But where I was going with this is that what I have found, and I still believe it to be true, hopefully somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, they do not screen for the donations of a company, which means, let's say we're invested in a baby food company. By the way, this is a reality. And that baby food company, there's nothing wrong with baby food, right? If it's a good company making good baby food, that's a good thing. You're helping mom out. Let's do this. But what if that baby food company ends up giving money to Planned Parenthood?
Pretty ironic, isn't it? If they'd be giving money to Planned Parenthood, but there are some out there that do that. You're right, Mark.
So they're giving money to an organization that kills your clients. Yeah, it's not even a good business decision, but that actually has happened, and I believe is happening still today.
You'd almost think it's satire, but it's so terrible.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, but that wouldn't be screened out of their portfolios because they don't track where they donate your dividends to instead of giving them to you, where corporations give their dividends to, the money, their profits to, their donations. So it's very important to realize that I think in general, they're headed in a good direction. Unfortunately, they're nowhere near it as far as I'm concerned on how they screen and what they come up with and what they're investing in. I mean, you can look at it on the screen there, or you can go out to the evaluator services through Financial Issues and look up one of the, type in Guidestone, and it'll show you exactly what they're in. You don't have to take my word for it. So my heart hurts for you that that's what he's offering. There are other funds, there's individual stocks, and that's what Financial Issues is all about. That's what we have a partnership for. We can help you. You could give them a list. He could join Financial Issues. Yeah. We could help him to come around to be able to help you if he would like. There's so many brokers and advisors out there who really need a hand up in working with Christians who don't realize that being a Christian isn't something you do, it's something you are. It's what your whole philosophy, your beliefs, what you believe determines what you'll do. And so when you do a financial plan, if it's not based on biblical precepts, then it won't be a godly plan and it won't be a financial plan for you. And if they invest in a way that is secular and they don't understand that when you own that stock, you're participating in whatever that company does, from making great baby food to providing money to help kill babies. If they don't get it, they don't get it. That's the bottom line. But it may come to them over time. And you have a great mission field there. A lot of people would say, run away from that broker. I won't. I'll say, hold them to it. Keep going there. Help them understand how much that means to you and why you want to honor God in all this. And if he is a believer, help him to grow deeper in his faith by explaining that to him. Help him realize the true meaning of stewardship, of living out the truth of your salvation in all aspects of your life, including your investments. I think that would be a good thing. And thank you for doing that so far. I had many clients who ended up coming to me from other brokers or other advisory services because of this. And they stayed for quite a while trying to do what I am explaining to you that might be good. But I'm really hoping he has a good heart and it'll work out for you. And if you need somebody to manage your money, well, maybe you could email us and let us know. But try to work with them and try to give them some resources. If you get a chance to pick up a book, The Wall Street Awakening, and give it to them, it gives you all the Bible verses. It gives you it gives you all sorts of ways to look at it from the heart and from the mind, so it prepares a person to be able to invest with biblical integrity. And all the monies from that, by the way, go to help people who are living in poverty and need a hand up, not a handout. And I think it would help him, and I think it. In fact, I know it will, because we actually had a mutual fund change its direction because of that book, which is really good.
That's awesome. Yeah, Mark, I totally agree with you. My heart goes out to Randy because he's trying his best and he's doing a great job.
I love him already.
Yeah, that's awesome, Randy. And Mark, it's a good reminder too. I think Guidestone is your classic example of, my guess is Guidestone is made up of professing believers. They're fellow Christians. But just because an investment is Christian, quote unquote, does not necessarily mean it's biblically responsible. And we have to be very, very careful with this. That just because a company says, hey, we're a Christian company, we're doing the faith-based investing thing. No. We need companies that are not a single cent of what they're doing is going to these wicked agendas.
Right. It's not only what they do, but what they do with the money that they make. Yeah. And some families miss that.
It's well said, brother.
Yeah.
Boy, we ran out of time, Mark. It's just the time flies. It always happens that way, but we're coming to the end of the show here. I would love to squeeze in one more question, but it'd be tough to do over the bumper music. So, Mark, it was a great show.
The answer is yes.
That's
the
exactly
answer is
right.
yes.
That's right.
On that question.
Yep, there you go. The answer is follow Jesus, ultimately. Right?
Amen. Jesus. The answer is always Jesus.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, folks, it was a great show. We enjoyed it so much. Lord willing, we'll do it again tomorrow. Just remember, be encouraged. Everything you have belongs to the Lord. You have the easy job. You just got to be a good and faithful steward. It's God's got the tough job of upholding you and doing everything that God does. We just got to be faithful. So let's be faithful with what he's given to us. God bless you all, and we'll see you tomorrow.
If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production.